Okay.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, lovely people. This is Marie Alessi with yet another story in Unsilenced Grief. And today I was so counting down the days because since I found you on Instagram, I'm going straight into the story how I actually found you. I was scrolling through Instagram and something came across my feed that really stood out for me. And I just kept following you and scrolling through your feed and through your stories. And there's a really, really inspiring story about your daughter, and I'm not going to take anything away from it. I'm going to get straight into welcoming you, Rachel. I'm so happy to have you here. And would you do me the honor to introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm honored to
Thank
be
you for being
here.
here.
Yeah, my name's Rachel Stewart, and I'm from 411 on social media. That's how you found me. And
Hmm.
my husband and I run that in honor of our daughter, Kenadie, who's across the veil. So we feel like she's been kind of guiding us and nudging us in the direction of launching this page when we didn't even know
Hmm.
what it was going to turn into, but it's turned into something beyond what we could have imagined. And one of the things that we do on there is share what we call stories of connection. And I believe
Hmm.
that's probably what you came across is where
Hmm.
we're either sharing our own stories or other people's stories where they have felt connected to their loved ones across the veil. And
Yeah.
these stories are just these full body goosebump aha
Hmm.
moments that we get to be a part of and put out into the world. And
Yeah.
it really just lights my fire. I just
Yeah.
love doing this and what I hope and what Kennedy promised before we
Hmm.
launched. I asked her in a meditation once, I said, I just need to understand what 411 is going to be. And you've
Hmm.
got to show me something. And I heard it will turn into the thing that you wished you could have found.
Oh,
And I was in when she said that.
yeah.
I was all in because I knew that there was something missing in my life after she passed, and it wasn't, of course it was her, but it was
Yeah.
that connection that
Hmm.
I thought I no longer had with her, and she has taught me that that's
Hmm.
not how I have to live my life.
Hmm.
And she can be a part of everything. And I've accepted that. And this
Yeah.
relationship is a new form and I am so grateful for it. So if I can help other people that are open to that
Mm.
live a more connected way with their loved ones, it changes the way that we grieve and it changes for me, it changes the way that I live my life. And
I
I'm
love that.
just honored to be a part of it
Yeah.
and let Kennedy, use me
Take the
to
reins.
yeah,
Yeah,
to get this message out in whatever way it's supposed to get out.
I love that. Rachel, before we go into some more of those stories, because there are a couple I can't wait to share and talk to you about, and I'm going to get you to share some of your favorites if you want to. But for our listeners, because they don't know much about your background other than a few sentences you just said, do you mind giving us a little bit of a timeline and also share a little bit more about your family as much as you want to? I totally understand
Sure.
when you have children, you kind of want to protect their privacy as well. But, just I know that you've got three children, one across the veil and one and two here. So
Mhm.
I just let you share a little bit about your story and what I always love starting with. I know this is not the number one thing about the story here today, but can you share how you and Shane met? I always love a good love story. So
Sure.
let's
Yes.
start with that and then work
Okay.
our way through.
Then we'll go way back. So
Sure.
Shane and I met when we were in preschool. So we were
No
4 years
way.
old. Yeah. We were 4 years
Oh,
old and we were in preschool together and we he was young in his grade and I was old in my grade. So through school we were in separate grades. So we
yeah.
didn't become friends until high school and
Hmm.
we didn't start dating until right after high school, but we were
Hmm.
very good friends through high school. But what was funny is I didn't know that he and I went to preschool together until I was in high school and I was watching an old home video and my
Yeah.
mom was filming me at the Valentine, of course it was Valentine's Day. So she's at the Valentine's Day party And she's filming me and I'm talking to her and the whole video is me, except in the middle of it for no reason. She zooms out away from me. She moves the camera across the room that is just full of children and zooms
Yeah.
in on one little boy across the way, and that is my husband.
Oh my God, I love this. This is so, oh
Isn't
my God,
that
this is so
just
special. How is this even
I said,
possible? I
why?
love it.
I go, why did you just zoom in on Shane Stewart? Because I wasn't dating him
Oh,
at the time. And she goes, I have
yeah,
no idea. I mean, it was just so bizarre that that happened. But
I love that.
yeah, that we can look back at things that happened throughout our lives, something that happened when we were 8 and 9 years old. And there was just definitely signs that we were meant to be together and find one
Mm,
another. And so uh, we
that's
do
incredible.
believe we do believe that we signed up for this to do this together. I
Yeah,
I fully believe
obviously.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
then
love.
we got married in 2004 when I was just shy of 23 and he had just turned
Mm,
23. So we
hmm
got married then and had Kennedy when we were, I guess, 25. So we had her in 2007.
hmm
And when she was 2 years old, she developed brain cancer
hmm
and was treated, had surgery, radiation therapy, and everything was great for 8 years. So a few
hmm
years later, we felt like it was a good time to have another child. So we
hmm
had our second daughter, Mila, when Kennedy
hmm
was 5 years old and
hmm
had just turned five. And 4 days later, we had Mila. And they were just like the best of friends. They were 5 years apart, but it didn't matter. They
hmm
were just inseparable. It was just,
Yeah.
we were just living the best life. We were having so much fun. And then on Christmas Eve, when Kennedy was 10 years old, she developed a headache. And she'd had a few
hmm
headaches, throughout the years. And it
Yeah.
was always nerve-wracking when she would
Yeah.
get a headache. But this one, there was just something different. I just knew right away that
Mm.
it was bad. And I remember looking at her and she had gone outside to catch snowflakes on her tongue because it started
No.
snowing and we didn't know there was snow in the forecast and we're outside and it's Christmas Eve and she said, "It's finally snowing on Christmas. I've wanted it to snow on Christmas
Oh,
my whole life." She goes, "This feels like
oh
a
my God.
miracle." And
Mm.
she's saying all of this and she has this really bad headache and I just remember looking down at her and I'm smiling at her because I want her to be happy, but on the
Yeah.
inside I just knew that was going to be her last Christmas. And it was, we
Wow.
lost her a month later.
Very
So,
quickly then.
yeah, a new
That's,
type of
yeah.
brain cancer had developed
hmm
and the new kind is there was nothing they could do. So,
Yeah.
it was very quick, obviously very traumatic. Uh
hmm
and then she passed and what was really horrific beyond everything else that had happened is that when she passed, my husband and I didn't even know what we weren't raised spiritual in any sense. We weren't
hmm
religious. We weren't, spiritual in, like I said, in any sense. We
mm
hoped that there was an afterlife and we were
Yeah.
open to it, but we had had no proof and we didn't know what we believed in. So here
hmm
we've lost our 10-year-old daughter and didn't know if that was just it, if we were ever going to see her again. And it was a
Yeah.
very scary place to be in on top of everything else. And then even if she did exist, I thought heaven was a million miles away. So even
mm
if she did exist, if she was by herself, this is what I envisioned. This is, my human mom heart
Yeah. Of
shattered
course.
because even if she still exists somewhere, I thought she was still existing without me.
mm
And that wasn't right. I don't want to picture her alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of
that
course.
was real. And I don't even want to picture her. I love my grandma. And my grandma, I know that my grandma was there, but that's not enough. She was supposed to be with me.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Of course.
I wasn't comforted by the things that I maybe believed in. And so I just started diving deeper.
Yeah. And I mean, you must have been asked this question a million times now, but how long after Kennedy passed over did you start connecting with her? And how did that happen for you? Because I bet everybody's sitting here going like, when did you feel it? How did you feel it? How did it happen? You know, like there's, oh, it must have been such an incredible, I don't even know. Was it like big? Was it very subtle when it first started? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, when she first passed away, the grief what is so heavy. You're in such
Mm,
darkness that for me it was really hard to hear her. Like now I think of it as listening to the whispers.
mhm,
It's usually very soft and quiet and subtle how I connect with
mhm,
her now. Usually. I mean, there's those
mhm,
big fun aha moments, but on a day-to-day basis it's pretty subtle. And I wasn't in a place where I could easily feel that or connect with that energy, and I didn't even know how. Or,
mhm,
I didn't think that I was capable of doing that because I wasn't born a medium. I didn't have any sort of gifts. So even if she did exist, I didn't think I could connect with her. And so the
mhm,
first, the first real connection moment that I had with her was through a medium.
mhm,
And it was, looking back, I think she was divinely guided to me because
mhm,
I met her before Kennedy passed, even though I wasn't
mhm.
into this kind of stuff. I just met
Yeah.
her randomly through a friend. It was her aunt, and I just
Mhm.
trusted her. She was just the kindest woman. She has since passed. So,
I
um,
always smile when somebody says randomly. I'm like, mm-hmm.
uh-huh, yeah, exactly. It was just, she was so sweet, and we really trusted her. And I knew that even if she didn't bring, like, I wanted proof that Kennedy
Yeah.
still existed, but if this woman didn't bring proof, I knew that she wouldn't hurt us. She would be
Mm.
kind, she would be
Yeah.
loving, and she would do her best.
Yeah.
And that was all I could really ask for at the time.
Hmm.
So I trusted her
So
enough to
how long
to
after
not.
her passing did you
This was
connect with this woman?
this was a few months after. Well,
Hmm.
the I was talking to her the day that Kennedy passed, but
Oh wow.
um, her name was
To
Dan.
the lady? Okay, yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Her name was Dana,
Hmm.
and well, it still is Dana, but you know what
Hmm.
I mean.
I hear you. Yeah.
Um, but she wanted to wait a few months. And
Mm.
she just said, I want to give Kennedy a little bit of time across the veil. I want to give you guys a little time. And honestly, I think she wanted a little bit of time because she was nervous a little bit about doing a
Mm.
reading for uh, parents that she knew that had just recently lost their daughter. She
Yeah, yeah,
wanted it
yeah.
to go really, really well.
Hmm.
And so it was a few months later, I was gently pestering her to do the reading. And she did the reading, and it was just magnificent. It was
Hmm.
just
Was it
the
just
things that
you
happened
or you
were
and Shane?
it was just me. Actually, at the last minute, Shane decided that he was like, I'm not going to be in the room. So he was
Yeah.
in a different place in the house. He couldn't hear it,
Hmm.
but he was anxiously waiting to get, the
Yeah.
notes from me.
Mm.
And we got to have a moment because something came through from the medium that I couldn't answer, that I didn't understand. But
Hmm.
Kennedy was she just kept making this woman go into we were building this house,
Hmm.
and she kept taking the medium into our garage in the house.
Hmm.
And the medium said, I'm sorry, I just can't figure out why she's taking me back into the garage. There must be something
Yeah.
significant in there. And I
Hmm.
said, it's just a garage. Like I don't know. And then she said, well, now she's showing me hummingbird feeders. And maybe she just wants you to put hummingbird feeders around the house. She was trying to piece it together because, that's how
Hmm.
communication
Yeah, yeah,
across the
yeah,
veil
of
works.
course.
And I said, okay, we'll get hummingbird feeders. But throughout the reading, which was, I believe, about an hour long, she multiple times took the medium back
Hmm.
into the garage and then would show her a hummingbird feeder. And so when I'm reading the notes to my husband, I read him, the first two things that the medium mentioned were things that they just blew us away. Specific things about the house that she could have never known. She lived states away. So she'd
Hmm.
never seen our home. It wasn't photographed online or
Hmm.
anything. And she knew details. She knew what my husband was doing at the house the night before. And
Hmm.
he had told me when he was here working on it that he felt Kennedy right beside him. So the
Oh,
fact that the first thing that she brought up was him here at the
Hmm.
house and that he was here until after midnight working on the back deck underneath canned lights. It's like, yeah, yeah. And I knew all those things. But
Hmm.
anyway, so I'm telling my husband the thing about the canned lights and the thing about the fireplace that she had told us, and we were just blown away. And then I said, and then for some reason, Kenadie took her into the garage, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. Yesterday, I went into the garage to grab some tools, and I heard something, and I turned around, and there was a hummingbird in the garage with me."
Oh,
And he
I
said
have
it was
goosebumps.
I know. He
Oh
goes,
my
it was
God.
right in front of my face and it was staring into my eyes and I was staring at it.
Wow.
And he said that it stayed there long enough for him to, he said he could feel her energy around
Oh,
it.
wow.
And he finally
Yeah.
just said, "Hi, honey." And then the hummingbird
Oh,
flew out of the garage.
I
And I
love
looked
that.
down at the sheet of paper that he didn't know what was on it. And I looked down and the next word was hummingbird.
Yeah.
And that's when we knew without a doubt. And we both
Yeah.
just, lost it.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we said, she's still here. Like she's still
Mm,
existing. And that was the moment that not only did I never question if she still existed ever again.
mm,
So I mean, what a
yeah.
gift.
Hmm.
But but she wasn't existing a million miles away. She was right beside him
Hmm.
and us, but in the
Hmm.
in that reading, she was right beside her dad.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, well, the first thing I thought is, gosh, why couldn't I have been born a medium? Because I
Hmm.
feel like everyone that loses a child should have been born a medium because,
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to connect with her. But even though I didn't realize at the time that I could connect like I do, I knew that there must be some way for me to feel somewhat connected. Like some spark
Yeah.
started growing inside of me at that moment. Like I can look back
Hmm.
and go, that is the moment that something
Hmm.
inside of me, and I now realize that it was her.
Yeah.
She was like, "I'm right here, Mom. Come find me."
Hmm.
And that's
And
that's when it all started.
yeah, I love this so much. It's such a beautiful way to, reconnect with your daughter, and then also learning so much about the other side and the connection from the other side. And that I am a huge believer, and I always want to say I know. Of course we don't know, but when you feel it that clearly, you feel like I always felt like I know that they're still with us, that they walk with us every day, and that they connect with us. And I have so many moments where I'm sitting in my living room, and it's always like somebody walks behind me and walks past, and I look over and there's nobody there. And I know it's Rob.
Yeah.
I know he's still, just checking in, just making sure that we're fine. And it's also interesting when you feel the energies come through differently. And oh, that's not Rob, that's somebody else checking in, but it's usually always Rob, but sometimes there's some other energy. And I love that just by looking at people, it's the obvious features that, this is your husband and this is your son and this is your daughter. But when you feel that in energies, I think that is really beautiful when we have that. So I would love to ask you this, and again, I always am very, very careful when it comes to children, because I'm a huge believer in protecting kids' privacies in those interviews. But I am very curious to know if your kids are able to connect with their sister as well. But you don't have to share if that's too private. Like, honestly, I should have asked you that before we go live, but I just
Oh
am
no,
very
that's
curious.
okay. Mila's at the age where I check with her, so I've talked to her about all of this
She's
before. So
14
you're
now,
so
right?
we're good. But
Yeah.
I've asked her about what she's comfortable with me sharing online and with,
Mm.
during interviews.
Yeah.
And so I know what I'm allowed to say, not,
Awesome.
but she can definitely connect. She's definitely had special things happen where I'm like,
Mm.
that wasn't you. Like I
Yeah.
love that just came out of your mouth because there's just no way that you could have known that. Your sister gave
Yeah.
that to you, especially when she was
Yeah.
younger. She just doesn't, she hasn't really tapped into it or honed
Hmm.
into it, but she believes
Hmm.
in it. And
Yeah.
so I'm always, I love that she's around all of this stuff and
Hmm.
she is open to listening to me and she never, makes me feel like a weirdo or anything like that. But, I don't know. what she's going to choose to focus on and believe in when she's older and when
Yeah.
she gets to make her own choices about
Hmm.
everything. I tell her all the time, I'm going to be open with you about what I believe in and what I'm doing, but
Hmm.
then you get to choose. When you're older, you
Yeah.
get to choose what feels right in your heart. And I'm like, I'm just excited to see what she focuses on down the road and what she does, but she's definitely capable. And I know that for instance, she tried out for a softball team that she was hoping that she made last summer.
Hmm.
And she did make it on the team, but every tryout yes, there were multiple tryouts, and every time that she
Hmm.
went, we found something special at
Hmm.
every single tryout. And
Hmm.
we knew the last thing was a sparkly heart that was her sister's favorite color. And it's just in the
Hmm.
middle of the grass, and
I
we
love
just
it.
kept finding these special things. And I said, you know that she's with you, she's right beside you. She's like, I know. So
Mm,
she believes in it. She feels it. I just, don't know how much she taps into it.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
also
And then
something that probably grows over the years. And with you guys doing in the work that you do now, it's always there, it's always available to them and they grow up with that, which I think is such a blessing, such a
yeah, and
gift.
then my little guy Salem, he's 3. It's still a little, he's still a little bit on the young side for me to fully grasp what's
Mm,
going on with him, but there's definitely been some signs that he's very connected to the other side. He hasn't verbalized that to us, but when he
yeah.
was younger, he would be sitting on my lap, and this one time it was Halloween, which Kennedy loved all holidays. She was
Hmm.
obsessed with every holiday that there was. So it just felt right that this happened on Halloween. But Salem was in my lap and we're just sitting in the living room. And I'm talking with my husband, or I think we were actually just watching TV. And so I'm paying attention to the television. And all of a sudden I realized that Salem's like doing something on my lap that I haven't really been honing in on what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's playing peekaboo with, you know how it's just
Oh,
so obvious when
yes,
kids are playing
yes.
peekaboo because they
Mm,
hide and then they peek
yeah.
out and then they start
Mm,
laughing and then they hide and they peek out on the other side. And there's just no other explanation of what he was doing. And so he's playing
mm.
peekaboo with someone that was behind me.
I love
And
that.
it went on long enough that I was able to say, Shane, look at what's going on. And we both just got to sit there and witness it. And, sometimes he's in his crib and he's by himself in there and he's just laughing and just
Mm,
cracking up about something that, nobody else can see or
yeah.
hear. And so I know that he's very connected. Another time he walked up at this park. We were at a softball park and or a softball game at a park, and he walked up to this tree and he placed his forehead on the tree.
Hmm.
And then he tipped his head back and he looked up at the tree and he just started cracking up. Like he was just laughing hysterically, and then he
Hmm.
placed his forehead on the tree again, and he kept
Hmm.
doing that, and I was like, "Is he communicating with a tree?" I mean, this just seems so like out there to me. But I think it's going to be a fun story that we can chuckle about as he gets older. Is that I'll be able to say to him, "Your mom is so out there that she thinks you used to talk to trees."
Yeah, oh my God, love this.
But
I
yeah.
I want to share or ask something here because I'm a big believer in soul contracts. I had shared this many times now that I had a spiritual epiphany only months after Rob died that him and I have chosen this on a soul basis. Like we chose this life. We chose everything that I did with after Rob passed. That this was in our soul contract, and that gave me so much healing and acceptance and so much love as well from across the veil. And when I think of your family, Salem wasn't even born when before Kennedy had passed, and I'm having this beautiful picture in my head that they met before they came here.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like that soul connection of your kids, like between the siblings. And I really love that. I I know we've only got a few minutes left, and time always runs way too fast, especially at the end of our interviews. But I really want to get to something that you have created out of all of this. Firstly, I never asked you why 411. Where does that name come from?
So when she first passed, we would
Yeah.
notice the number four coming up
Hmm.
in different ways. And that was her
Yeah.
favorite number when she was here on
Hmm.
Earth. And
Hmm.
then my husband was the one that noticed that it kind of transitioned, and all of a sudden we were getting 11s.
Hmm.
And we didn't even know what 11 represented spiritually. I mean,
Mm.
11 is means a lot to a lot of people. You
Hmm.
hear 1111 all the time. It's
Hmm.
this spiritual number that represents enlightenment and spiritual purpose, and it's an angel number and all of these things, but we knew none of that. And
Hmm.
it felt like these 11s were showing up to kind of guide us. Like if we were going in the right direction, we would get an 11 just out of the
Hmm.
blue. And so we felt like we started doing things for the 11s, which
Hmm.
represented Kenadie for her,
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
for our connection with her and our, spiritual growth and all of these
Hmm.
things. And so my husband was the one I told him, there's something kind of growing in my heart, and I think we're supposed to tell our story or something. I mean, it was
Hmm.
just, this felt bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And what was really crazy is that my introverted husband said, I feel that too. I think I'm supposed to do that as well. And I
I
couldn't
love it.
believe that. And then a few
Mm.
days later, he was outside and the name 411 just dropped into his head, but it was
Mm.
spelled FOR and then the number
Yeah.
11.
Hmm.
And he said, I think it's going to be called 411. And the second that he said it, even though I knew nobody would understand, nobody would know what that meant,
Hmm.
I knew that that was the right name for it. And the
Yeah.
moment that we decided that, then she started sending us signs every day almost with the number
Hmm.
411. So we get 411s all of the time. But what was really special and kind of goes along with what you were talking about with the soul contract and how things are kind of set up before you even realize that they're set up, is that
Hmm.
my friend reached out to me shortly after Kenadie passed, and she let me know that she connected with Kenadie in a meditation, and she asked if I was open to hear about it. And I said
Hmm.
yes. And she said, well, you and Kenadie were sitting across from each other on top of this ridge. And she said it was the
Hmm.
most beautiful thing she'd ever witnessed. It didn't feel heavy, and it didn't feel like grief and sadness. It felt like joy and happiness, and we were really excited because we were doing something together.
Hmm.
And then she said that she watched Kenadie kind of turn into this ball of energy and go into my heart. And she said,
Oh.
she's crying, and she's,
Mm.
whenever we talk about it, she tears up because she says it was
Hmm.
just such a beautiful thing to witness. But
Hmm.
anyway, she sent me this message, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I hadn't learned how to connect with Kenadie yet. So I was a little jealous, but I thought
Hmm.
I'm going to keep trying. And what was really neat is years later, we're getting ready to launch 411, and I'm talking with that same friend. And I said, do you remember when you sent me that message years ago
Hmm.
during the meditation, and you said that Kennedy and I were doing something together and that it was bringing us so much joy? I said, I kind of think that it's 411 because,
Hmm.
we felt so guided by her. And
Yeah.
my friend says, do you still have that message? And I said, I
Hmm.
think so. I don't delete anything on my phone. She
Yeah.
goes, she goes, go back and find it. So I scrolled through years of messages and I found the original message that she sent me at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And she sent it to me on 411.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
hmm So
Wow.
that was the moment that I knew that it was always going to be 411. It was always
Yeah.
meant to be.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I love this. I'm so aware we're going to run over time with this question, but I need to ask. I would love for you to share what it is that you offer to the world, because I know that you and Shane are very adamant about spreading this, and Kennedy, I should say, because she's part of all of this. spreading this and teaching people how they can connect to their loved ones. And I know there is a free guide that people can get from you because I saw it on Insta. I know that there is an app. I know that there is a book. I know that there is an 8 month program. I know there's a lot out there. So I'd love for you to give us a rundown. And then, of course, we will be sharing any links how our viewers, our listeners can connect with you after the show, because I can only imagine that a lot of people would go like, I want this. I want to connect with my loved one. So yeah, please share.
Well, we just feel like if we can do, we are the perfect example is that if we can do this, my husband and I,
Mm,
you know, growing up with zero skills when it comes to connecting and not realizing that we could. If we can do it, yeah, anybody can
mm,
do it.
mm,
And it really has changed how we grieve and how we live. And it hasn't taken away our pain or all of
mhm,
our grief. And I want to be honest about that and make sure that
mhm.
that's clear. But
Yeah.
it it softened it for sure,
Mhm,
but it has given us the tools. Like some days I just need to sit in the,
mhm,
darkness of the grief,
mhm,
and that's
mhm,
okay. And I'm meant to feel it in that day. But I know that Kennedy's sitting right beside me. And I know that
mhm,
when I'm ready, she's gonna shine her light so bright that it kind of helps me out of the darkness.
mhm.
And I can just turn to her and
Yeah.
kind of work with her and the rest of my spirit team that I got to meet. Because before I
Mm,
connected with Kennedy, I found guides and angels and other people's loved ones, and my son across the
mhm.
veil before he was born. I got to meet my son.
Oh, wow.
My husband did too in a dream, actually.
That's incredible.
The only dream that he had with Kennedy, she was with a little boy. And he goes, I think I just met our son.
I did not
Yeah.
even know that part of his story. That's incredible. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was pretty cool. But so I got to
yeah.
meet all those people, and then I met
Mhm,
Kennedy across the veil, and I know that was
mhm,
on purpose because if I'd met her first, I would have stopped. Like
mhm.
I've got her, I don't need anybody else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But really, I met this whole spirit team, and they're they're there for me. They want to help me, and we all have access to our spirit teams across the veil. And so, if
Mhm,
I can help people realize that and guide people in any
mm.
way, I want to make that as accessible as possible to everyone that wants to try. So that's
I
what
love
my
that.
husband and I are, we've got lots of stuff that we're putting out there on social media. So
Mhm.
we're on, TikTok and
Yeah,
Instagram and Facebook
yeah.
and YouTube.
We'll be
And
sharing all the links in the show notes, by the way, so
yes,
you can just click
so,
on them
and
and connect and follow. I just really, really encourage that.
oh, thank you. But yeah, and there's a
Mm,
free guide, there's a paid guide. The paid guide is going to also connect people with uh, tw video companion
mhm.
course because I want to walk people through it. I
Yeah,
don't want them to read something and then feel all alone.
yeah.
So, there's going to be practices. Like, for instance, inside the guide, I talk about how one energy healing, I felt like it just kind of blew me wide open. I felt
Mm,
it. I didn't know what just happened. And then my husband did the same sort of energy healing. And his reaction afterwards, he had tears streaming down his face, and he said, that just changed my life. And
mm.
so I had to find out how to do that. So I went and was trained,
Yeah.
and I want to offer that to everybody. So in the guide, I talk about it, but then in the course, you can actually participate in that sort of session. And now
And it would
we're
be so beautiful as well, like in the course, like it's a group session, right?
right. Well, in the
Mm.
course, they can just do that on their own. So
Okay.
whenever they want, they can listen to it over and over again. They can
Mm.
do that whenever they want.
Yeah.
Inside the membership, inside the community that we're about to launch, that we've been working
Mm.
on for a long time, it's kind of a dream come true for me. I'm gonna try to talk about it without crying, but I think that this is the thing that we were meant to build because
Yeah.
inside the community, I will be able to share and Shane will be able to share everything that we have done that has led us to where we are today. And it'll
Yeah.
be there for people every month for them to try if they want, or if that month feels
Mm.
heavy, oh well, don't do it,
Yeah.
but it's there
Yeah.
for them and
That they're
accessible to
holding
everybody
space.
because we want we don't want people to have a tough time getting to these things that helped us. We want it to be really
Yeah.
easy. And that's
Yeah.
Kennedy showing me how to do it.
Hmm.
And I believe her. I've seen it, as I'm falling asleep, I've seen it and I've gotten to feel the energy
Hmm.
around it. And I was bawling. It was the most beautiful
Hmm.
energy ever. And
Yeah.
she told me that's what's coming. And we're almost ready to launch it. And I just can't wait.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see what's in store. And the entire time, like halfway through, I'm like, oh, we've only got a few minutes left. We're so gonna go over. And I don't mind. I really just wanted to have that moment of sharing this. And I have this really strong feeling in my heart that there will be a part two. So everybody stay tuned. I do want to check back in with you, Rachel, when that has launched, and then we can maybe give a little bit of feedback as well, how it has all come into fruition. And I really would love to have you back if that's all right with you.
Oh,
And
yeah, that would be wonderful.
oh, thank you. Is there anything before we go, if there is one sentence, if you say like this is the one thing I would people like really get away from this, if there's anything, is there anything that you would like to wrap us up with?
Yeah, I would I would love for anybody out there that's either grieving or just going through a tough time in life in general, because we're human and we come here to have the ups and downs that humans are
Mm,
meant to have. There's lessons to be learned, there's, all the things. And so I think that that's one thing that we all have in common is that there's ups and downs as we go through life. But what
yeah.
I wish I had known for the first 40 years of my life is that
Mm,
I don't have to do it alone,
mm.
and that there's a whole team that is just
Yeah.
happy to help me as much as I want their help. And we
Mm,
can all have access to that, and that it's easy. It's not something
yeah.
that is hard. We were all born with that connection. I believe that
Hmm.
in my soul. And
Yeah.
all you have to do is just kind of remember. It's like
Hmm.
once you do it
I
once and
love
once
that.
you feel that connection, you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, it just feels
Yeah.
like these people are home." You just
Hmm.
feel like I remember you.
Yeah.
You feel like you meet these new people, but they're not new. And it
Mm,
just, I don't know, it just opens something up inside of you. And then your life is forever changed, but in the most beautiful way. And so I just encourage people that if they're feeling nudged to live a more connected life, that they absolutely can. And for me, that is how the magic has found me again after, not even more magic than even before Kennedy passed. It's just
mm.
my life, the way that I live my life now is, I'll never go back. Like I just
Yeah.
this is it. I
Yeah.
feel like
Once you have the
there's
connection, you can't.
miracles.
Yeah. Mm,
It's just, I use the word magic, but it's real. And
yeah.
it's from having, one foot, I always say I've got one foot firmly planted on earth and I'm
Mm,
enjoying my human experience and the ups and downs and all that stuff. And my human family that I have here, I love them and I'm so involved. But I've got a foot across the veil. And
I love that.
that's where the magic comes in and
Hmm.
I'm open to that as well. And it's just a
Mm,
beautiful way to live life.
yeah. Rachel, I cannot thank you enough for being here and for sharing so openly about something that is so deeply personal. And yet, on the other hand, it's something that you really want to share with the entire world. It's such a beautiful mix. You can feel both of it. You can feel how special it is, how magical it is. And for anybody listening to this, when you feel that, what I felt, what I feel when I sit with Rachel, I would love for you to click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss episode 2 of this because it will be coming. Give us a couple of months and we will reconnect. So I'm sending you so much love. I'm gonna hug you across the world here. And thank you so much for sharing. Everybody,
Thank
this
you.
is Rachel and Marie signing off. Thanks for being here and bye for now.
Thanks.